And we do have an Easter egg hunt planned for today. We're kind of a little bit rolling with it. We might do it during the service and we might do it after the service. We're doing it after the service. But what I'd like to do is to go ahead and invite the choir to come forward as we prepare for our prelude.
Gloria, glory forever, Gloria Deo, Gloria in excelsis.
We begin with words by the Unitarian poet E.E. Cummings. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I, who have died, am alive again today, and this is the Son's birthday. This is the birth day of life and love and wings, and of the gay, great happening, illimitably earth. Now the ears of my ears awake, and the eyes of my eyes are opened. Many Unitarian Universalists celebrate Easter with a flower communion like we are doing today. This ritual was created by the Unitarian minister in Czechoslovakia whose name was Norbert Čapek. When Čapek first created this ritual in his very large church in Prague, 3,000 members, it was to be celebrated on the last Sunday of the school year so that all the children and adults could participate in it together before the summer break. But Unitarian Universalists started doing the flower communion on Easter because Norbert Čapek was captured in 1940 by Nazi soldiers during World War II. Because Čapek was very vocal and public about his Unitarian values in the worth and beauty of every person, he and his ministry were considered a threat and dangerous to Nazi Germany. Norbert Čapek was killed in Dachau prison, but the legacy of his life's work and the basic values he lived and died for are still alive now in our faith of Unitarian Universalism and in the flower communion that we take part in today. Thank you for being here.
Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the entire congregation, I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Shenandoah Valley. I am David Adams, your worship associate for today's service. We come together each Sunday morning as a community of seekers, seekers of what is most important in our lives, seekers of understanding in the face of uncertainty and loss, seekers of forgiveness for our own shortcomings, seekers of gratitude for the unexpected gifts we receive from all around us all the time. We gather in awe of the beauty of nature and in the mysteries of the universe. But most importantly, we come together as seekers of a community of love and empowerment, celebrating our search for truth and meaning in our daily lives. So now, as Minister Emeritus, Henry Tickner comes forward. Let us all say together, from here and from our homes and our hearts, the words for lighting our chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, to share. And I invite you all to join with us as we say our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help our neighbor. To these ends, we covenant one with another.
And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together our opening song today from our hymnal number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
The author, Martha Dallas, was inspired by a quote she found at the New England Holocaust Memorial in Boston, Massachusetts. Gerda Weissman Klein offered this quote: "Ilsa, a childhood friend of mine, once found a raspberry in the camp and carried it in her pocket all day to present to me that night on a leaf." Imagine a world in which your entire possession is one raspberry and you give it to your friend. As a teenager, Gerda had been rescued from Germany. She later married the US Army soldier who led the troops that rescued her. This year, Yom HaShoah will be celebrated on April 27th. The Gift of the Raspberry by Martha Dallas. Once there was a place that was very bleak and dreary. All the colors there were only shades of gray and brown. Nothing grew there, no grass, no flowers, no trees, and this place was surrounded by walls and fences. People lived in this place. Every day they were forced to work digging holes and then shoveling the dirt they dug out back into those same holes. This work made them feel tired and their bodies ached, and they felt hopeless, for their work never amounted to anything. The food they ate was just a little bread and some broth. Their bellies were never full, and they were always hungry. Plus, they got sick a lot, for this food wasn't nutritious enough to keep them healthy. At night, they slept, if they slept, on hard wooden beds. They had no pillows nor blankets, so they were cold and they shivered much of the night. When they did sleep, they had bad dreams, and when they woke, they were just as tired as they'd been the night before. One morning in this place, a girl went out, and suddenly she saw something on the ground, something special and precious. It was a red raspberry. Quickly, she picked it up and slipped it into her pocket. She kept it safe there all day, and that night, she found a leaf that had blown in from outside. She put the leaf in her hand and placed the red raspberry on the leaf and went to her friend and presented it to her friend as a gift, and her friend received it. I tell you this story not only because it reminds us that in the most sad, hopeless, bleak, and dreary places we can, if we keep our eyes open, find miraculous surprises, treasures that are bright and sweet and delicious like that raspberry. But more importantly, when we find these treasures, we can give them up, give them away, give them to a friend. This story is true. It actually happened, and I want you to remember this story. So today, I brought some raspberries, and I invite you to take one from David as he passes them out, or Julie as she passes them out.
I'll let you pass it out when you get to the end.
Oh, well, they
If I
need
do
to
the
be,
next thing.
they need to be having their
Oh,
raspberries. So I invite you to take a raspberry if you'd like one. Don't feel necessary. And take it and hold it in your hand. And when everyone who wants one has one, I'll tell you what to do next. I'll wait just a minute. So now, as you're holding your raspberry, imagine that your world is dreary, sad, hopeless, and bleak. And imagine that your friend has just given you this raspberry. This raspberry was the one thing your friend truly owned, and she chose to make it a gift for you. And when you have imagined that, I invite you to go ahead and enjoy your raspberry, to eat your raspberry, and to always remember.
So I'm not sure that we had enough raspberries for every single person. Oh, there's still some, so if you would like one, you can raise your hand and they'll bring it right to you. We did have enough. Oh my gosh, it's a UU miracle. On Easter morning, no less. Well, as we finish taking in the meaning of the true story and the sometimes tragic bitterness of life, which is a good thing to remember this morning as we prepare for a time of meditation and silence, because this Easter morning, as we're celebrating our flower communion and remembering its significance during World War II, along with our own Unitarian Universalist Service Committee and our flaming chalice, which became a symbol of our faith during World War II when we did what we could to assist those fleeing from Nazi Germany, where this day of the tragedies taking place in Ukraine and the other countries surrounding it, of the violence, the devastation, and those who continue to be in danger, whether they're fleeing for safety or whether they're trying to assist those who are in danger. Our words of reflection and meditation are by the Unitarian Universalist minister Jane Jepka, who served as the minister for our Church of the Larger Fellowship for several years. That's a ministry that makes worship materials available to those folks who do not have a local congregation as we do here, including those in prison. O Spirit of life and renewal, we have wintered enough, mourned enough, have felt and witnessed oppression enough. Our souls have been too long cold and buried, our dreams forgotten, our hopes unheard. We are waiting to rise from the dead. In this, the steady season of rebirth, we awaken to the power so abundant, so holy, that returns each year through earth and sky. We will find our hearts again and our good spirits. We will love and believe and give and wonder and feel again the eternal powers. The flow of life moves ever onward through one faithful spring and another, and now another. May we be forever grateful. Join with me, if you would, in a period of silence as we hold in our hearts, especially those in Ukraine or fleeing from Ukraine at this difficult time on our planet. I now invite you to join with me, if you would, in singing our meditation song today. It's number 352 in our hymnals. We'll remain seated while singing it together. This is a beautiful melody that comes to us from our Unitarian forebears and contemporaries in Romania, Transylvania. Find a stillness. And it's perfect for our Flower Communion Sunday.
In the
tradition, but we do not believe in all of the things that many Christians do. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe that it was not a requirement that Jesus or anyone else lose their life in order to prove their faith, but rather it was the timelessness of Jesus's core message that lives on, a core message that love is our ultimate saving grace as humans, and through our love for our fellow humanity and for the earth, we create justice. In a 2002 issue of the UU World magazine, the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker offered an article called "Can Violence Save?" She wrote, "The actual historical event of Jesus's crucifixion was neither sweet nor saving. In Jesus's time, the Romans occupied all of Palestine. The Romans suppressed resistance by terrorizing the local population. Crucifixion was their most brutal form of capital punishment, and it took place in full public view to teach a lesson through terror." She goes on to say, "The importance of Jesus for liberal Christians is not that he paid a price for sin. Jesus is important because he embodied loving concern for others and called people to love their neighbors. Jesus confronted the oppressive ruler of his day and was not afraid to risk his life doing so." As Unitarian Universalists, we believe that Jesus had great courage to live by the values in his teaching, and that is why he remains so important to us now. Jesus believed, as we do, that everyone should be treated with respect and caring, no matter who they are or where they come from. He believed everyone is special and that we're all children of one God who loves us just as we are for the kind of person we are. The significance of our Easter flower communion for Unitarians is that just as no two flowers are alike, no two people are alike, yet each has a special gift to offer to our world. Together, the different flowers of all humanity form a beautiful bouquet. Our common bouquet would not be the same without the unique addition of each individual flower. It would just not be the same without each and every one of us. The flower communion celebrates the diverse and unique preciousness of our human family and of our gathered community. It symbolizes our first principle of Unitarian Universalism that affirms that every person is important and unique, and that we need to honor the worth and dignity of every single person. It is now time for us to share in the flower communion. And I'm going to actually ask our families to come forward first. So parents and children, if you would go ahead and gather and come up through the center aisle. I'll continue speaking a little bit here. And the families will be followed by everyone else who would also come through the center aisle and then return to your seats along the side aisles. As you come to our communion table this morning, I ask you to do so quietly, reverently, with a sense of how important it is for each of us to address our world and each other with great gentleness. I ask that you select a flower different from the one that you brought, that particularly appeals to you. And as you take your chosen flower, noting its particular shape and beauty, please remember to handle it carefully. It is a gift that someone else has brought here to share with you today. It represents our unique humanity and deserves our kindest touch. And as the children come forward, I am going to share a blessing that Norbert Chapek would share during his flower communion. We'll hold off on the music for right now. This is especially for our children. May you be blessed by the beauty of the earth, and may you strive to protect our fragile home. May you know how precious you are, how beautiful, how unique, how worthy of love. May you be surrounded by people who uphold and cherish you throughout your life. May you find your own true voice and use it to bless the world by speaking up with compassion and taking a stand for justice any place where people of the earth are being hurt. Yes, and now more people can come forward. The music will begin in just a moment. Whenever you are sad or afraid, may you find a safe place in your community, and may you find courage and strength in your own wise and loving heart.
Should we return that way? So not in front of the camera?
Does everyone have a flower? I think we've got plenty today. So when we leave, if you are going to be seeing some other folks today who would appreciate a blossom or two, feel free to take some with you. As we prepare to close our flower communion ritual, our Minister Emeritus, Reverend Henry, will share a poem by Claudia Martin, who passed away last September 29th. Rev. Henry will lead Claudia's long-awaited memorial service next month on May 22nd during my sabbatical. As many of you know, Claudia Martin was one of the founding members of our congregation. She was a lifelong lover of music and the choir and a prolific writer. Having fled from Nazi Germany and established a new life in the United States with her family, Claudia was ever the champion in the resilient beauty of life all around us.
Walk into Spring by Claudia Martin. The cold winds of winter were biting my skin. The soft wind of spring is caressing me. Sunshine elevates my shadow to be a giant I cannot get rid of as much as I try. It is real and yet not real, poised in a silent zone of collateral motions. The yet barren branches wave their own shadows on the greening grass. A mockingbird sings, poised on my evergreen tree, companion of wintertime. Yet now 10,000 of tree blossoms replace the winter snow. Each single blossom a harbinger of hope, the exuberance of possible new life.
And now, as the choir prepares to offer a choral anthem, I invite you to consider your generosity and support of our congregation and its work as Unitarian Universalists in the Northern Shenandoah Valley, both within and beyond our walls. We gratefully receive this morning's offering.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find you. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy
Hi again, David Adams here. Not only am I the worship associate for today's service, I'm also here as a member of the Shared Ministry Committee to speak briefly about the ministerial sabbatical that begins on May 1st. And that's only 2 weeks from now, by the way. The Shared Ministry Committee meets with Reverend Julie monthly through the year to assess the health and vitality of our congregation's programs in terms of overall participation and collaborative leadership based on our church mission and covenants. While Reverend Julie is on her sabbatical, the Shared Ministry Committee will serve instead as the Sabbatical Committee, with the addition of one representative each from the board and from the worship and caring committees. The Sabbatical Committee will be meeting monthly as well to review how things are going overall and if there are any areas of concern or challenge that could some sort of collaborative teamwork. Our Minister Emeritus, the Reverend Henry Tickner, will be preaching twice a month, and he, along with 2 local UU ministers, will be available in the event of pastoral emergencies. In this capacity, Reverend Henry is not signing on as the full-time minister, doing all the usual things that Reverend Julie does, so you won't be seeing him at meetings and holding office hours. In Reverend Julie's absence, the church staff will be supported by volunteers and supervised by the board president, Cal Allen, and the chair of the personnel committee, Bill McShay. Next week, you'll be hearing a lot more about how we practice the shared ministry here at UUCSV. Yeah. And about our church's plans for the upcoming sabbatical time.
I appreciate David making the announcement on behalf of the Shared Ministry Committee. He's still a relatively new member of the church, and he tells me, you know, I'm still kind of learning the ropes. Well, we're all still learning the ropes. I now invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing song of the day, number 126, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
as Reverend Henry extinguishes the chalice and the flame, let us say together, here and from our homes and from our hearts, the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of our community, the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather to grow more generous in spirit and in action. If you happen to be watching us online, we hope that you will consider making an offering after today's service through our webpage, uushenandoah.org. This will allow us to exercise that generosity of spirit, this self-supporting church and its many ministries, which continue during this time when not all of us are able to be together physically. So, thank you so much for joining us here today.
You who have an eye for miracles this Easter morning, regard the bud appearing on the branch, already the flower, soon the fruit. In the uniqueness of its beauty already lies its death and resurrection. Behold the unique beauty of every single one of us, along with the fragile blossom. Behold the spirit of life, rebirth, and renewal in all its holy boldness. Go in peace.